Jordan Clarkson has had a very fun season for the burgeoning young Jazz, and I wanted to go take a look back at him as a prospect status. Also, as a tip from one of my pals, Jackson, that I should go look at him. And I'm glad I did because Clarkson's prospect case was really interesting. He was late, I think like a mid second in 2014, and he kind of, or at least in my head, had a rep as a microwave type scorer for most of his career, like as a young guy with the Lakers and then later in his career. But he was a really impressive passer in college, where I would say his feel and his like interior passing were the most impressive things I took away from Clarkson. So much of it was taking advantage of his skill on drives and his burst to win at the rim and use his passing. Like you see here, he's able to draw the double team, or not the double team, just to have the help step up and make a quick pass. He was really good at reading the defense quickly on these drives, and he punished them for it often. He liked to operate out of the post like this, and he was really, really good making reads as well. Look how flexible he is. We're going to talk about flexibility a lot here in this video because it is a star trait of Clarkson's, where he's able to get so low he's almost parallel to the ground. This leverage, like a D lineman going around the edge, allows him to get around him. This help defender steps up, and it is an easy drop down pass for an open layup attempt. This was what Clarkson absolutely feasted on in college. He was, ran some simple, easy pick and roll stuff, nothing really crazy, but it was mostly driving off of his own passing gravity. Clarkson had a knack for making these really impressive passes versus pressure. Again, in the post, they brought three guys, and Clarkson was able to stay calm, stay patient, and find his man. Again, he could have shot the ball early before the help came. He could have turned it over, but he was patient, waited, and got the ball out to his teammate for a wide open layup. He did this a lot. Again, you see Florida here send three defenders at Clarkson at the end of the first, and the composure here to recognize that there is a much better option than a turnaround fadeaway, even at the end of the half, and make this pass into a fairly tight window with this guy phasing out is really, really impressive. And Clarkson just had a generally really good sense of how to handle pressure and how to play slow. And, when guys were hounding him, when they were hedging him hard in pick and roll, he was always patient, waited for the right opportunity to open up. There are so many opportunities in this kind of sequence where young guards could have, taken a pull-up or, turn the ball over here trying to go through or try a really difficult pass. But Clarkson is going to make the simple play, which was really impressive considering I had thought of him in the past as like a lowish feel microwave scorer type. And Clarkson this year, his best passing year of his career so far, on this Jazz high-powered offense with a lot of scoring threats to help him out. But a lot of it looks similar, and it's really cool to see like the baby versions of a lot of these plays in the tape that we just watched, where Clarkson with spaced floors is able to use his burst to get into the basket and to find his teammates for laydown passes when he's able to draw extra defenders because of that driving gravity that he has and is so prolific. Clarkson is so patient and so smart now. We're going to play a mini version of the guess your pass game. So I'm going to freeze the play right here, and we are going to guess where Clarkson is going to go with this ball. Is Clarkson going to pass to Vando in the right corner, to, I believe, Rudy Gay on the block, or to Fontecchio on the left corner? I'll give you 5 seconds. All right, let's roll it. And that was like a little bit cheating because I kind of paused before Clarkson took his last step. But his ability to decelerate here and be patient and wait for that pass to open up is really impressive. Because he could have taken this pass to, a bad shooter in Vando, and it would have been an okay play. He could have tried to make this skip, but he sees Dante coming really hard into help. He sees Jordan Poole backing off here, and it looks like he's trying to make this skip. Like Clarkson looks at the corner, but because he sees Poole backing off, he takes an elongated last step, hangs in the air, and finds Rudy Gay. What an unbelievable pass that is. And it is a testament to Clarkson's growth as a passer and just how much control he has over his body. As he was in college, he's awesome in early offense, always pushing, looking for easy plays. His exterior passing is not great. He's a much better interior passer on laydowns than skip passes, but Clarkson loves to push in early offense, and especially when the defense isn't set. DeMar DeRozan is the only low man. Levine and Pat Will are, kind of just trying to figure out where to go, and he's able to find Olynyk for a wide open three in the corner. He eats in early offense and transition, and he's so good at, again, passing with these like tough deliveries over double teams. We remember the plays from earlier in the video where he was, passing with composure over a bunch of sets of arms and hands. And he's doing the same thing in the NBA, albeit, again, looking a little bit different. We see Clarkson drive towards the baseline here, and he gets cut off. But he's still able to hang in the air, keep his composure, and make that pass to Lauri Markkanen for a cutting dunk. The composure I kept coming back to as a prospect. And it just is, such an indicator of how important feel for the game is, how important like just knowing how to play is. Because Clarkson always had that. What he didn't always have, which was interesting to me, was like the scoring tools and the handling. I would have had quite a bit of concern about his scoring as a prospect, because a lot of his approach looked like this, where his handle was pretty loose and he wasn't able to create consistent advantages with it. He just wasn't really great at getting himself space on the ball. A lot of his drives were very straight line. He wasn't yet very good at using his flexibility to get around guys instead of running right through them and drawing charges. And even on a lot of these like decent moves, they're just very slow. Like you can see Clarkson doesn't end up finishing here. And because of the extra dribble he takes at the end of this spin right here, that dribble, to kind of hop into this contested layup, if Clarkson would have gone straight from the spin and continued his drive straight instead of taking that extra pause dribble, like a little like post dribble, just gone straight, he probably would have had an open layup. But there were scoring tools that Clarkson exhibited. And as we're going to keep talking about, the flexibility was ridiculous. Clarkson, operating out of the post, used this to great extent. The leverage he generated was unbelievable. Like, this is all flexibility. Like, he misses an open layup, but the way that Clarkson is able to get basically parallel to the ground, and even though he's not going to be able to run past his defender, and even though he's not the strongest guy in the world, he's so low that this guy just has no chance, like, to push him back or to keep him off of his spot. And it's really cool to see, as I mentioned, like the baby version of a lot of these plays translating into NBA style plays, where we see the early offense once again. Clarkson has always been monstrous in early offense. He has a matchup he likes with Jonathan Kuminga. Just watch how low he gets on this cross. Like, under the arm of Iguodala, he's basically parallel to the ground. His hand is like touching the ground here. And then the touch there is just fantastic, as it has been through his whole career as a mid-range scorer. But the handling control here, the ability to stay balanced while getting that low and getting into the paint are all things that, like, these tools existed for Clarkson in college. The ability to get low and the ability to, create these advantages. But the fact that he's stringing it together now into real scoring creation at the NBA level is awesome to see. I really like this low rip through. We again see this crazy angle where he is totally parallel, which means that Reggie Jackson really has no shot from the start. I mean, that wasn't very good defense, but it wasn't good for him. Anyways, Clarkson technically is a masterful driver, which is such a cool development because he wasn't like that at all in college. We again see at a lot of these points, I'm going to pause throughout, Clarkson was pretty Shaedon Sharpe, was pretty step for step with Clarkson. At the top of the key, Sharpe is right there. At the elbow, Sharpe is right there. But what we haven't been, paying attention to is that Clarkson is swiping with that off arm. He's using his shoulder to get into Sharpe's body and generate leverage and generate an advantage, which allowed for that scoring opportunity. And what Clarkson always had was his awesome burst in first step, where he actually, am I wrong? No, I am wrong. That's the wrong clip. Apologies. Clarkson's finishing craft has improved a ton, where so many of his finishes in college just looked like this, where he just kind of threw the ball up and relied on his touch, but now he's decelerating. As I mentioned, the driving technique has advanced so much. Watch these slow steps. Jordan Clarkson loves to decelerate nowadays, using these slow, elongated steps to just barely push himself past Zach Collins, as well as the same foot, offhand finish to finish over Collins. Just compare that drive. And also the drive before this one, again, the one where we showed that driving technique against Shaedon Sharpe, where he's able to use his strength and his leverage, to this one where he's just rounded and he's upright and he's not using any of his tools to his advantage. Instead, he's just kind of getting a contested floater that he can make, and he did make a lot in college, but that's certainly not optimal. Clarkson liked to split these pick and rolls that people would send to him, and he had some good success where he was able to use his handle to split the pick and rolls. But when the windows were tighter, he often struggled to get in those windows. And it's very cool to see that tight space handling evolve to using all sorts of tricks like jail and off arm and pace to be able to score in lots of different ways. The balance here is what's most impressive to me. You can't totally see because of Vando's in the way, but the fact that he's able to stay upright, or not stay upright, to keep control of the ball with Austin Rivers on his back, with his, basically parallel again, and to use that to create a wide open pull-up jumper for him is such an impressive application of the tools that we saw him flash in college, like this ability to, split at the point and get low and use like a change of pace. But the fact that he's turned that into a very, very impressive and deep scoring toolkit is just a testament to his work and his development. And the fact that he finally has an opportunity on, a pretty good, solid team to be that scorer in high-powered offense, to be that offensive engine. And it's gone really well. I believe this is where we're going to go to some other clips. Clarkson always had his burst. That's the other thing about Clarkson, is that I think in the past, his handle often impeded his burst. As we saw, like a lot of these drives look kind of slow. Like we remember that spin play, but Clarkson was anything but slow. When you got him moving off ball in a straight line, it's very, very hard to stay in front of him. And even with the lack of, real crazy handling or scoring tools in college, he was at the rim so much and drew so many fouls just because of how fast he was. In just a foot race, you're not beating Clarkson. And now that he's combined that with his handling and his flexibility into one package that is so hard to stop, this is to me like the consummate Clarkson play, at least from this season. He gets Looney on a switch, quick cross with flexibility to get right in front of the rim and make a little floater. Let's watch this one more time. We see this fast to slow to fast, the quick cross. This isn't even like super low compared to what we've seen in some of these other clips, but he's low to the ground. He attacks Looney's top foot, and he gets all the way into the restricted area, which he does so often and so frequently. And lastly, again, as we talked about, Clarkson was always awesome in early offense, pushing against a defense that wasn't set to create advantages for him. And he's still rocking at this in the NBA. Again, I didn't actually mean to... Oh, no, this is a different clip. Yeah. I mean, Clarkson, again, we saw a very similar setup in one of the flexible handle clips where he has a matchup he likes with Kuminga on him, a young player, and the defense is very not set. So Clarkson's going to push back him, use his handle and his pacing to generate a good shot. And I think this is a really cool clip to end on as like an amalgamation of many of the things we've seen throughout. We see the flexibility and the speed to get by, the increased pace and handling craft to stop on a dime. So, and lastly, some of the post craft to use his shoulder, use his leverage to get to the front of the rim and use his touch to finish there. So Clarkson is such a cool player. I love watching him play these days. He's awesome for this Utah offense. And just a really interesting prospect case. And I guess to bet on these guys with feel and tools and movement skills. This is a feather in the cap for my movement skills agenda. And even if a guy's scoring package in terms of handling and craft and technique isn't there, when you see movement skills like Clarkson exhibits and flashes like that, that's something you can mold into a real tangible scorer, which he has become in the league. And again, the passing was there in college. It wasn't as there for a while in the league, and now it's starring for him again. So Clarkson is awesome, and I'm excited to keep watching him.